Good morning. Cheers. Wow, I already have a thumbs up and I haven't even started. Let me get situated here. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Who's here today? Happy December, first of the month. It's kind of a overcast, little drizzly day here in Portland. We're going to go through my Gypsy Jazz boot camp, what I usually call day one. This is great for an introduction into this style that I've discovered as I work with students who are newbies and just wanting to learn how to improvise. But I've also learned the real importance of this method, not only for Gypsy Jazz, but in general. And I've been talking about it a lot on YouTube and on Patreon for sure. So if you're just joining me, thanks for joining in. Hey, Chris, good morning. Chris, you are new to this club. Chris from Texas. I really appreciate you saying where you're from. It's always nice to see where everybody's located. It's been really great to work with folks on Patreon who are tuning in from all over the world. So I've been offering private lessons as well via Patreon, and you can. There's only a couple left at the diamond tier. Paul, welcome. If you want to have a private lesson and have me guide you with your studies. So today, I thought I'd kick off this month of December. I'm going to try to do a lot of live streams, and I'm kind of trying to make my schedule so I can do live streams approximately 5 days a week, covering various songs and topics. This is all in partnership with my Patreon page that has all of the materials. The thing is, if you, for example, like today's bootcamp materials, if you want it and don't want to join Patreon, which I still recommend, so you can access over 4,000 posts and lessons. But if you just want the tabs and PDFs, that's also in the description. There's 2 links, one for Patreon members, so they can just grab it. And then the other one, you can purchase it and download it immediately. So what we're going to talk about today. So I do recommend that. Oh, Chris. Oh, thank you. My one and only love, of course. Yeah, I've got some materials on Patreon for that, but I'll do a special live stream lesson walking through that beautiful song, My One and Only Love. I haven't played that song in a few years, as far as like performing goes, but that'd be a great chance for me to do a live stream and kind of, talk through it and walk through my process of looking at a song, a lead sheet, and also my lead sheet, and going through a chord melody arrangement too. Again, I do have some materials on that one already on Patreon. But today's topic is for the newbies into the Django Reinhardt Gypsy Jazz style. And again, like I mentioned, it actually applies to just mastering and having fun on the guitar in general. And that's the triad method as applied to soloing, single note soloing. Hey, Dave, good morning. Thank you for saying hello, David. There's a lot of Patreon members here, and I'm hoping more will tune in and say hello to me. So thanks for joining. Don't forget to do this. Today's going to be a pretty in-depth lesson. I'm going to get started. I do have a private lesson after, so I want to cover as much ground as possible. I do already have bonus video lessons on this on Patreon, of course. But this is going to be a great lesson just for those who are kind of getting into Gypsy Jazz and don't know where to begin for soloing specifically, okay? So I came up with a couple worksheets a while ago. One of them looks like this. This is all included in the links in the description, Triad Embellishments Study number 1. And I'm going to kind of just talk about this first. There's 8 examples of these embellishments, and I say apply to all keys. Then I write out etudes basically through these songs, such as Minor Swing, for Gypsy Jazz, All of Me, Dark Eyes, After You've Gone, just various songs where they either go through the complete routine, like I'm going to demonstrate today with Minor Swing, or I just use them in my etudes. Because they are just exercises, but they will help you familiarize yourself with the fretboard, technique, just a lot of good general musicianship skills. Thanks, guys. Yeah, keep typing in the chat. I'm just loading up here on some coffee. Speaking of, this coffee is brought to me by Eric. If you're watching this, Eric, or later, thanks for the coffee, the tip there the other day. I appreciate that. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started on this triad concept. I'm actually going to just start off with the method and just discuss this method. So I kind of learned way after music school, went to music school, college stuff. But just learning on the bandstand, I always say, I needed an approach that was simple to help me learn and navigate playing these early swing songs, such as Minor Swing, Sweet Georgia Brown, All of Me, things like that. Lady Be Good, I Can't Give You Anything But Love. These are all tunes Django recorded. Let me turn off my notifications, otherwise it's gonna be going constantly. We'll see if I can do that here. So I needed to practice, myself and figure out what's a good way to learn to improvise that I can practice and really help myself get better at the fretboard. And also, of course, I was teaching a lot. So I was kind of developing these exercises, which has become the Gypsy Jazz Bootcamp series. They're all available on Patreon, by the way. Got tons of etudes. Many of them have sound slice videos too, which you can grab and practice along with that method. So I discovered that the triad method, it was kind of like the most important and foundational method. So that's what I'm teaching you today. I also talk about the importance of triads in general, just rock guitar, pop rock guitar, folk. This goes kind of, again, along with that series if you want to review those videos from the other day on the triads. So let's just get started. So basically, we all know about the CAGED system, CAGED, the forms. I'm breaking it down to just these three inversions, essentially. A C chord here. And this comes from this shape, which is the A shape. But I just use that inversion. This is just a little preview before we hit minor swing. This C, which is coming from this shape, the E shape there. Okay. And then which other one do we have here? Oh, this one here. Getting kind of up there, which is this shape, which is the C shape. So I'm basing it off of those inversions for this method, just so you know, there's three routes. So when you see my worksheet, I'll give you a demonstration here of this triad routes number 3. And this says Gypsy Jazz Bootcamp. It says day 4. It's just really day 1. But when you see this, you'll see routes number 1 through 3. And so the idea of it, just so you know, is just staying on the top, essentially top 4 strings. So this works great if you play the ukulele, as I've been mentioning lately too. I actually have my baritone uke, so it doesn't matter if you're on the guitar or the baritone uke for this, okay? And I'll probably whip that out, because the baritone uke is just the top 4 strings of the guitar. But if you're playing a, tenor, concert, soprano ukulele, then you're going to transpose. But still, you want to memorize these shapes. So here's the basic idea of it. Here's a C chord, C triad to be specific. Okay, we're visualizing this shape, which comes from this, and we can take it through all 6 strings. Okay, that's in some of my studies as well. But I just do this, and then I say, okay, we want to just play chord tones, just those notes only. And part of the method is for this, some of the exercises, I say only use. I have to be careful. You only use your middle finger. So you're doing this 1, 2, 3. Okay, something like that. Just targeting chord tones. I'm going to play All of Me so you can hear this in example. If you don't know All of Me, all of me. Why not take all of me? Can't you see? I'm no good without you. I'm going to do that again, but with the triads. A, D minor, E, A minor, D, D minor, and then you can start to connect and mix and match these triads and navigate through the fretboard while playing really simple. Those are just chord tones. I'm just connecting. So, if you can't do that, this is to me the place for you to start. Instead of just learning licks and phrases and memorizing that, I would suggest that you start with this so that you really learn and master the fretboard. But then separately, as a supplement, you can have licks and phrases. And I've got 100 Gypsy Jazz licks. I'll go through that in one of these other live streams. I've got 100 licks and phrases that I've collected myself and from Django that I've compiled, and we can go through that too. But right now, to me, if you're just getting started into soloing, this specifically, we're doing hot swing, then this is a great method, and it's just staying on the top 4 strings. So with that in mind, let's get started with the minor swing studies. That was actually just a demo through all of me. Just, you have a lot of chords coming at you. That's too intense right now for many people, because you have to learn your major, your minor, and then you start to learn these embellishments. And that's the other worksheet and we're going to go through that today too. It's a jam-packed lesson today. So thank you for joining me. Type in the chat as I'm looking through this. Tell me where you're at and who you are. But as I'm going to just demonstrate here, this worksheet, which is included in the description. Grab the tabs, PDFs. You can either purchase it or you could join me on Patreon, which is what I recommend. This is called Triad Embellishments, number 1. And I have it number 1, number 2, and number 3. Number 1 is for major chords. Number 2 is for minor chords. And number 3 is for dominant chords for that darker Gypsy Jazz flavor. So what I usually say is this, and grab your guitar too, because this is gonna be a lot of information, and I want you to practice with me. It's just not for viewing. And these lessons, these live streams, if you're wondering, where was that live stream from last week that Tracy did? If you're wondering, these get archived on both my YouTube membership, which is $9.99 a month to access my videos, or you could just join me on Patreon and they get archived there at the gold tier. But that's actually, I'm just uploading them, downloading them, and then uploading them slowly. So if you're wondering about my previous live streams, those are on Patreon. So check this out. I'm going to kind of just show you the demonstration of these different, I kind of have cute little nicknames, lower neighbor tone, approach note a la Django. I'll usually say appel indirect, upper neighbor tone, the Mona Lisa, a la Django, the enclosure, fancier, just little things. So I usually say with my students. So again, I'm just going to do a quick demo on, this is the major chord one, but here's C major. Okay. That's what we're visualizing, but you don't need to hold it as a chord shape. You just have to visualize this. And I do it with various fingers. Sometimes I say use your middle finger, especially if we're doing the appel indirect a la Django lick like this. Or this. And that's because Django wrote a really cool tune called Appel Indirect. Where he's using that technique. I mean, I'm just applying it now to C major, E, A. So we can navigate through chord progressions. These are just great studies. I mean, I don't think you want to do that for your whole solo, but they will help you learn the fretboard. That's the goal, learn and master the fretboard. But they sound cool. Django did it. Hey, that's good enough reason for me to want to explore it and really, get good at it. So that's what these are for. Okay. So that's number 1. Just so you visualize, just give you a preview again, what we're doing. That triad, we want to actually go through these inversions. The C one, that one's the trickiest, by the way, because you have to navigate that shape. So again, what I usually will say on these worksheets, I always say, not usually, always visualize the chord shape. I stress that quite a bit. Visualize. As guitar players, we really need to visualize these chords. It helps so much. You don't have to think of them as individual notes. You just know that you're playing a C major. I mean, later on, you could think about the 1, 3, 5, but usually what I tell my students at first is to just visualize. Number 2, that was the lower neighbor tone, this. Okay. And then you could do stuff like, you could do this. You have a lot of fun with some variations on that, okay? Number 2 is the, and I call that the approach note too, lower neighbor approach note, a la Django, appel, and direct. The upper neighbor, this one's really cool, but this one will vary depending on the flavor that you want. So here's a C major. If you're just joining in, I'm looking at my Triad embellishments sheet, number 1. You can just grab it on Patreon if you guys are Patreon members. That's what these live streams are for those who are on Patreon to, work with me live, and or for those not who are interested. Charles, hello from the UK. Thank you for joining in. Upper neighbor is very important. It's a beautiful one, like the lower neighbor approach note. You have this. The deal with this is that you want to know what your chord is above C, in this case C major, D minor. So we're getting this pretty sound. I like that rhythm a lot. That's part of my study. You'll see I do that particular syncopated rhythm. And that's through all of me right there as a demonstration. But today we're going to go through minor swing. And I chose minor swing to start you off because it's easier. It's just 3 chords. And hopefully it's something that you already are familiar with. Cheryl, welcome. Cheryl, I got my baritone uke. This works great for the baritone uke if you have this worksheet. As I mentioned, for those ukulele players, I also have this on Patreon already for tenor uke or low G. Number 5 on this worksheet is the Mona Lisa, this beautiful melodic motif. So you have this. Even John Coltrane used that in quite a bit for his solos. His little cadenza at the end of Giant Steps uses that. So that's good enough reason. And again, this one's super fun. Oh, great, Cheryl. Thank you. So again, that's the Mona Lisa. We'll work through that with minor swing in a second. The a la Django one, the enclosure one. Enclosure is a cool technique. Here's C, here's G, here's E, and here's C again. So enclosure is not starting on the chord tone. You're going around it like this. Here I'm starting below it and above. And then I'm landing on the note. Very pretty. You can add a slur. Okay. And then, of course, we can take it through the progression, which is what these studies are. But right now I'm just showing you what the embellishments are. If you're wondering about reading through all these, once you understand them, then it's easy to apply them to your favorite standards that you're working on or Gypsy jazz songs repertoire. Number 8, the final one, is just a little bit fancier. It has a little slur. So that's what number 8 is. It's just really pretty decoration. So think of embellishments as a decoration and ornamentation around the chord tones. Okay, this has been around. I mean, it's used so much in classical music. It's just a very pretty thing to do. But again, it's nice to have these concrete examples and worksheets for you to work with on paper. So again, that's the study there for the triad embellishments. I've got 3 of them, and they're for number 1, 2, and 3. They're for major chords, minor chords, and the dominant chords. So let's now go ahead and work you through this worksheet here. This is the minor swing study. And the reason why it says it's really, to me, like day 1 for those who come and take my Gypsy Jazz workshops and classes. I always say, okay, let's start here. Make sure that you can do that. So that's what this is really about. How you guys doing? I hope I'm giving a good explanation of this method and demonstration. So as we head into minor swing, it's important that this will help you learn the progression. It's not just noodling around a pentatonic blues scale. I like that too, don't get me wrong. And I like noodling around a harmonic minor scale. But that's not that. This is not that, okay? This study is very, very specific. It might even seem a little boring, but I guarantee it's going to help you. It's like doing really fundamental exercises in general that are just so important for you to learn the fretboard. Okay, it's not super fancy, but again, you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And it's something that's very concrete. Okay, so here's A minor. Okay. The chord that we're going to be playing, if you watch any Gypsy Jazzer play on minor swing, they'll play minor 6, A minor 6. But what we're doing is this. Okay. So all I'm doing here, and I'm using my middle finger, I'm just pulsing on the quarter note. That's the delivery of this. Even though it's just an A minor triad, yes, it's going to sound a little bit like Stairway, just to warn you. That's an A minor triad. Okay, and I just stop. I let this one ring. You don't have to hit it twice. These are quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So again, I'm looking at this. If you have this study, I would recommend that you pull it up right now. I can't do a screen share, but this is just a study that's in the Patreon link. If you go to the link in the description and you're like, "Ooh, I want to do this with Tracy right now," then just purchase it. You'll get all 3 of those triad embellishment studies, and this day 1. I call it day 1. This is day 4, minor swing, and I'll just show it to you. It's got quite a few pages here. Let's see. Yeah, it's got like it's a big study. So I think it's about, I don't know, 8, 10. Whoa. Okay, 13 pages of just working through this. Again, the good thing is once you understand it, you won't even need to be reading all 13 pages, but it does help you. Thanks, Paul. 13 is a magic number. Yeah, it's a good study. I really recommend it. Again, I did a special online workshop just going through this in detail. So you guys are getting, and so that's actually, it should be on Patreon, that bonus lesson, if you want to check it out. Either I believe it's at the gold tier, the video lessons. So check that out. But right now I'm just kind of walking you through this for those who have never done that before or just want a good review. So here's A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now that's this shape. Now when we go to D minor, and again, I'm hoping that you already know these triad shapes, but this will help you memorize it. Here's D minor, and here's the shape. Notice I'm just going to use my middle finger. So A minor was this, D minor was this. This is the visualization part of it. But when you're actually playing it as single notes, you can use one finger. You choose. I'll use my first finger. Okay. You use your pinky. Now, let's talk about E major. Oh, that was the 1 to the 4 chord. That would go over, and I can load up a backing track. That would go over this. Okay, A minor to D minor, the 1 to the 4. Now we need the 5 chord, E7, and then A minor, and that's the first 8 bars, okay? Now for that E7, we're going to break it down to just the triad E major, this. Okay, that's the shape. As I was demonstrating earlier on the C shape, that's the E shape. It's C, the C shape. But we have this. Do that with me. It's kind of, it's a portion of this D chord, right? We all know D like this. Here's E. If you're wondering, what's that shape? So if you play a D chord, slide it up a whole step to E, and we need the G sharp here, the 3rd in the bass. Now visualize that, play it, look at it, whatever you need to do, and then do this 1 finger method. And then back to A minor. D minor. Now I'm just demonstrating A minor. E. A minor. And that's number 1 top. D minor. E. A minor. D minor. A minor. I suggest that you say it E so that you memorize the changes. A minor. Okay, that's pulsing on the quarter note, just along with the rhythm section. That's doing this. That's the quarter note pulse, and you're playing along, just keeping that rhythm. D minor. Say it with me. E, A minor, and D minor, the 4. Back to A minor. Try to get your intuition. Trust your intuition. E and A minor. Now we go to the next inversion. I'm just using one finger, D minor, A minor, E, A minor, and next inversion. And those are the routes, okay, that I'm talking about when I say 3 routes, going through those inversions on the top 4 strings. And again, this works beautifully on the ukulele. It's the same fingering. You memorize these shapes, and I have the baritone uke here, and maybe I'll do a quick demo of that as well. Are you guys getting it? Do you understand this method? It's a really great, simple method. I can load up the backing track here. We don't need it. You can hear it. It's like you can't get any more blatant than just playing chord tones, right? So it's very straightforward and simple exercise. But again, we want to practice this to the backing track at various tempos. Start off very slowly, and again, I also just recommend just visualize those chord shapes. It doesn't even hurt to just do this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, D minor, E, and it's major over the E7, A minor. Stay in one position. These are the routes. Okay, there's kind of the 3 inversions. E. Thank you, Leo. A minor. And then A minor here. Okay. So that was the number 1. That was number 1 study. Number 2 was just what I just ended with right here. Number 2. Number 1 is just pulsing. Number 2. Okay, this is a 13-page study here for you to have lots of fun. But again, I also wrote it out for all of me. You could apply it to any of your favorite songs and go through this. And I guarantee you're going to master those chord changes, especially if you go through all 3 triad inversions. Okay, this is kind of, again, this is not a lick approach. This is a boot camp approach. Okay, number 2. You got to start with your middle finger. We're going to do the same thing. And then you go to the lower neighbor tone like this. So I'm going, the lower neighbor is the chromatic note right below the chord tone, half step below, like an approach note, like I was demonstrating on this. It's that lower neighbor tone, but we're going like this. We're going to come right back home. And that's just to create some melodic interest, some swing into bias time to think about the next chord. So we're visualizing this A minor, again, a la Stairway. But we're not doing that. We're doing this. D minor. E major for the E7, A minor. D minor. This is number 2, A minor. E, A minor. Next inversion, D minor. E, A minor. I'll keep saying that. D minor, A minor, E, and A minor. And A minor, D minor, E, A minor. This is route number 3. D minor, A minor, E, A minor. Top. Now I just started to have fun going along the length of the string, connecting these shapes, which you're going to do because you're going to get pretty bored of that. You're going to be like, well, what can I do? Well, I'll start to connect it. You know what I mean? Just have a lot of fun. And just start to have fun connecting. I guarantee that's going to happen. But start with these exercises. I know it seems very basic, but they will help you. Okay. And sometimes you'll know that the chord player will play a B flat 7 for that E7 tritone sub. Doesn't matter. You play E triad over that B flat, and you get that epic, that dark quality, the subs, the flat 9 and the flat 5. So you get some cool sounds. Number 3, hopefully you're getting this. Number 3, as I demonstrated earlier at the beginning with the triad embellishment worksheet, is now including the upper neighbor tone. So I have to talk about what the upper neighbor tone is for the minor chord here on A minor. It's just like thinking B minor. So this is a preference here. I like to go a whole step above. So here's A minor, here's B minor. Okay, so the lick per se is this, the motif rather. But so let's see. And this is where the rhythm, I wrote out that syncopated rhythm, as I mentioned. D minor, E. Now I got to show you what I'm doing on, by the way, again, I took it right through that D minor shape. So you have to just move your fingers to match the shape. You might even just do this without the fancy syncopated rhythm. D minor. E major, now check this out. I'm going up a half step from the E. That's to create a darker gypsy jazz flavor. So let me show you that worksheet. That is just for the darker gypsy jazz flavor. Again, if you're just joining in, I do have this all in the descriptions if you're wanting my PDFs. This is number 3, the triad embellishments number 3. It should say, let's see, where's it at? For that darker flavor. Okay. This is for a dominant chord. I wrote it out on C7, but of course these can be applied to E7. You just have to know where these shapes are, and that's what the worksheet is about, is to visualize those chord shapes. So here's E. And I'm showing you the chord that you're achieving. Okay, E. We all love that vibe, that flavor, right? So that's this sound. Hit that low E because we can. The important thing is that you're visualizing E, E, E. And then we start a half step above if you want, or you could just do, there's a lot of different little licks that will come out of this. But what I wrote specifically was this rhythm. And then you can put it into context. That's the fun part. So again, that's this worksheet here, study number 3, triad embellishments, will take you as I scroll through those, okay? Those different licks that are available. So these all work together. These are all on that Patreon link, and or if you just want to purchase it separately without joining Patreon. I know I sound like a broken record. The only reason I'm repeating is because I know people are coming in and out of these sessions, so that's why I'm just kind of reiterating. I know it's not a marketing, well, maybe it is too, a marketing technique. Buy this, but I know most of you are already on Patreon, so this is kind of just, again, for those who are like, where is that? It's on the link in the description, okay? Let's get back to that study here, the minor swing. So now that I showed you, okay, this one, we're on number 3, and it's the upper neighbor tone. So number 3 for the E does this. Okay. This is tricky because you have to visualize this. That's why number 1 is just the chord tones. You just want to visualize. Okay. Number 2 is the lower neighbor. Number 3 is the upper neighbor tone. And am doing that little slur because I love those slurs, very a la Django. Okay. As many of you know, Django primarily played leads with these two fingers. He had these two fingers. They were stuck in this formation, and he primarily used those for chords. But he would do stuff like this, which is kind of a lead lick, but primarily, again, he used just two fingers for the leads. So yeah, if you're watching this video and you say, hey, how come you're using all four fingers? Because I can. So of course I'm going to use them. So let's, A minor, this is the upper neighbor. D minor. E. A minor. D minor. A minor. This number 3, E. A minor. Next inversion. D minor. E. A minor. I'm not going to go through the whole routine. It's a 13-page routine, but you'll get the idea. Once you get that first one, like, okay, now I got to work it through the next inversion. That was number 3. Okay, you guys ready for number 4? How you doing? You enjoying this? Let me know with a thumbs up if you are. I appreciate it. I'm going to be going through a lot of various topics during my live streams. There's a request for My One and Only Love from Chris from Wills Point, Texas. So I'm going to go through that on my next live stream, I guess. Why not? So give me a request. I might accept it if you're nice. Also, if you give me a tip. All right, so just like a gig, right? Number 4 is the Mona Lisa. John, I didn't know you were in Mexico. Good to see you. So I got to talk about the Mona Lisa. As I said earlier, if you didn't catch it, it's a beautiful melodic motif. And then we take it through the A minor, D minor. Now for the E, we're going to do half step below and then a half step above to create this super epic dark, this. Isn't that sweet? Just to show you what it sounds like on E. So it's like this. Visit? Yeah, sure, I'll visit. Mexico needs some sunshine. That's a tricky one. So take it slow. I hit the wrong note earlier. So this, but you gotta start with this. Visualize a triad. The easiest one is this shape, by the way. You guys ready to try the Mona Lisa? This is now study. James, are you a Patreon member? I don't recall your name. Good to see you on here. I appreciate you saying where you're from. Number 4, Mona Lisa. Ready? Very slowly through minor swing. D minor. E for the E7. A minor. D minor. A minor. A little faster. E. Little swing. A minor. Next inversion. D minor. E. A minor. Of course. Good. I'm glad you're on Patreon. Give me some feedback on what you're enjoying and working on. A lot of my lessons now, I have so many materials, so many posts that I've covered so many various topics. It's nice to get some new songs. It's nice to know what people are enjoying so I can expand on that as well. And also review. Again, there's so many wonderful lessons, if I might say so myself, that I have that people don't even know about, that are buried in the 5 years of Patreon posts. I have over 4,000, I think it's about 4,300 posts on Patreon. definitely enough to keep you busy, you all busy for the winter. If you're enjoying this lesson, there's many more like this. This is just a really fundamental, what I call a boot camp lesson exercise. But it's really a good one that you can apply and have a lot of fun, especially when you are jamming with the backing track or jamming with others, and then be more creative. Let's go on to number 5. I'm just walking you through this worksheet. Number 5 is the slur, which I kind of nickname a la Django. So again, we're still visualizing this. And now we're doing this. You can articulate it in various ways. I mean, like right there, I was doing it as a triplet. And you can pick it at certain different places, maybe like this. Have fun with the articulation. Just, kind of get the phrasing of it, get that slur. And if you want to do it 2 fingers, you can. Just more movement is required if you want that. Again, I'm just going to do it with 1 and 3. Slide it, and then hit that land on the chord tone. So we're going, it's a combo lick. I always say you're going upper neighbor slur, lower neighbor, and then resolve. Okay, once you get that one phrase, and then we're going to get the feel, the timing. D minor, E, A minor, D minor, A minor, E, A minor, A minor. And that's the tricky one. This A minor, you have to navigate. Okay. You have to navigate that chord shape. D minor. And you can even do stuff like that. Hit the chord. It's pretty fun. Just to get some of these licks and phrases out. I really like that one. That one's really very pretty. Okay. On a major chord, it sounds like this. Then minor. So yeah, you can use it in your bossa nova. These are just really fundamental studies for your jazz guitar. I don't even want to limit you to just Django style, manouche, gypsy jazz, whatever it's being labeled these days. Hot jazz is what they used to call it. I like that term, hot jazz. All right, so again, that's number 5. If you're just tuning in, this is all on the worksheet and the PDFs, the tabs. And if you're on Patreon, I would actually recommend that you go to the use my Sound Slice videos. All of my Sound Slice, this is all on Sound Slice as well. That way you can play along with the metronome and all that stuff to be a little bit more strict. I'm just demonstrating and showing you the routine here, okay? So that's the routine for this, that I have more embellishments on those worksheets that you can add. But from there, we then do the next inversion and go through all of those. And that's what this is all about. Any questions on that? You ready to try it with a backing track? All of them? There's 5 routines. Sorry, I think I need more coffee. Throws a little dry talking too much. Any comments, questions? You enjoying this? Do you like this method? Is it stupid? Is it beneficial? Well, just so you know, also I have it written out for All of Me, which is another good one. So you could just, again, just to demonstrate on All of Me. Oh, thanks, Leo. I appreciate the positive reinforcement. Here's All of Me, just so that you can kind of get an idea. E. And I always say the chords. This is pulsing A, D minor. Thanks, Paul. E, take my lips. A minor, I want to lose them. Take my arms. I'll never use them. Your goodbyes. I'm just demonstrating all of me. Left me with eyes that cry. How could I? So you know where you know, so we know where we're at. Go on, dear, without you. 'Cause you took the part. Oops, that's just split minor. That once was my heart. So why not take all of me? And then you'd bust into number 2. Thanks, Leo. Change directions. Messed up a little bit. F minor, E, D minor. And then number 3 would be the upper neighbor, E. And I like that darker Gypsy Jazz vibe for that E7, A7. This is all just demonstration on all of me now, just to let you know where we're going with this. D minor, E, A minor. Ooh, 1966 ES 175. Mine's 1953. That's my guitar of choice for sure. Just used it last night for a 3-hour gig, and it's just I don't practice on it. My 175. I just leave it because I like to preserve it. Yeah, Leo, those dark Gypsy Jazz are, check out my Caravan study, my Caravan hack. I think I need to do a live stream on just Caravan and go through my worksheets, a pretty thick packet, about 13 pages, some soloing ideas also, covering, these are just very detailed exercises to do. And then again, we want to apply some of the fancier slurs like this. This is still all of me. I busted into all of me there for that. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for joining me today on this. A little bonus lesson here, I guess you could say, on Gypsy Jazz Bootcamp Minor Swing. Check out the PDFs. Please consider joining me on Patreon, of course. We'll see you next time. There's a request for the beautiful standard My One and Only Love. So I think I'll bust that out and kind of walk through it very slowly. And now I won't take a look at it ahead of time. That way it's fresh for me and you all can grab your instrument, grab your guitar, and learn it with me and walk through the beautiful jazz ballad, My One and Only Love. I recommend that you check out John Coltrane, Johnny Hartman's version, but so many players have recorded it. I also love the Ricky Lee Jones version, if you've heard that from Pop Pop. There's so many great versions of that too, and Kenny Burrell recorded it too on a recording, and I think it's called Moon Sand. I'm not sure. We'll see you all next time. I'm going to be doing lots of live streams. Please tune in. Put it in your calendar. They're usually around the same time in the mornings. I've got a private lesson coming up soon, so that's why I like to get the live streams bright and early to get me going with my coffee. It's morning here, so thanks everybody. Don't forget to do this if you enjoyed today's session. I appreciate it, and we'll see you on Patreon, or we'll see you. Good, you're ready for my next one? Awesome. Thanks, Leo. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you maybe tomorrow.